Hey everyone, I'm Alec, and welcome to week 9 of MASL Midweek, where I break down the past and predict the future for all games in the Major Arena Soccer League. Let's kick this week off by looking at the games from week 8. Starting off on Thursday, we had Flash de Monterrey traveling to Dallas, where they beat the Sidekicks 9-4. Monterrey finally had an easy win in Dallas, which has been hard to come by this year for them. Although I don't view this so much as Monterrey taking another step forward. They are already playing at a very high level. I view this more as Dallas kind of solidifying their spot as a bottom tier team in the league. Then on Friday, the Orlando Seawolves traveled to Kansas City, where the Comets beat them 14-6. Orlando actually looked pretty good in this game for the first half. The second half was a different story. Then the Tacoma Stars hosted the Turlock Cal Express, where the Stars won 7-4. The Stars bounced back from that tough road stretch that they had, where they lost 5 of 6 games, and now find themselves currently in a playoff spot in the Western Conference. I think it's going to be tough to hold on to that playoff spot. There's a lot of good competition out there, but I think the Stars are more than capable of pulling that off and finding themselves once again in the postseason. Then on Saturday in Mesquite, Flash de Monterrey beat the Outlaws 10-8. The Outlaws continued to show a lot of potential, but the Flash ultimately showed why they're still undefeated. Later that night, Celeste Sonora hosted the Ontario Fury, where they won 11-5. Over these past few games, Sonora has really heated up, and I don't think anyone really wants to play them right now. Then on Sunday, the Harrisburg Heat traveled to Utica City FC, where Utica won 7-5. These two teams have had quite the series this year. So far, Utica has definitely had the edge, but I'm curious to see what happens when the games are played in Harrisburg. Then later that day, we had a big upset when the St. Louis Ambush traveled to Milwaukee and beat the Wave 8-7. St. Louis continues to make a case that they are a team that should not be overlooked, albeit things did get a bit hairy there in the fourth quarter, but hey, ultimately they beat the Wave in Milwaukee, which is no small task. Then for our final game on Sunday, the Florida Tropics hosted the Orlando Seawolves, where Florida won 10-3. This game went the way that I'm sure a lot of people expected it to, with Florida winning easily. There was also a game on Monday with Flash de Monterrey hosting the Ontario Fury, but as of the time that I'm filming this video, that game has not been played yet, so I don't have much to say about it, but if anything interesting happens, I'll be sure to talk about it next week. And with that, let's move on to some predictions. We'll start on Thursday when the Ontario Fury are hosting Flash de Monterrey. Boy, I wish I could have watched Monday's game before filming this video. It sure would have helped with this prediction in particular. But based on what I know right now, I'm going to pick Monterrey in this one. Ontario seems like they've hit a bit of a rough patch recently, and Monterrey is playing as good as ever. Then on Friday, the Kansas City Comets host the Milwaukee Wave. The last time these teams played, the game was closer than the score indicates, but Milwaukee still won fairly easily. I expect a similar result this time around. I'm picking the Wave. Then we have the St. Louis Ambush hosting Utica City FC. I have the Ambush picked in this one, which I think a lot of people will think of as an upset, so I guess I'll put Utica City on upset watch. I don't really have any reasons to dislike Utica for this game, but I do have a lot of reasons to like St. Louis, especially with them coming off that big win in Milwaukee, so I'm picking them to win this one. Then for our final game on Friday, the Turlock Cal Express will host Flash de Monterrey. A couple of weeks ago, I picked the Express to upset the Flash in Monterrey, and that didn't quite pan out, albeit the game was reasonably close, but I think I have learned my lesson about picking against the Flash, so this time around, I'm picking Monterrey. Then on Saturday, we have my game of the week, Celeste Sonora traveling to Harrisburg to take on the Heat. This game is going to be a very big test for Harrisburg. I believe that up until this point, they have only played games against Rochester and Utica. They have dominated Rochester. They haven't had as much luck against Utica, but those games have still been very close. So the Heat show a lot of potential, but we won't really know until they play more teams. Meanwhile, Sonora is coming into this game on a real hot streak, and they themselves could prove a lot by winning in this one. As for the winner, I've got to go with Sonora on this one. I think they're a bit more battle tested, and they have been playing just so well recently, it's hard to pick against them, but I do think Harrisburg will put up quite a fight. Then we have the Turlock Cal Express hosting the Mesquite Outlaws. These are two teams in very similar positions. Both of them have shown glimpses of glory, but neither one of them are quite there yet. So this game itself should be very interesting to watch. I do think that Turlock is going to pull off the win in this one because Turlock is a very tough place for visiting teams to play, but I think Mesquite will keep things interesting. Then for our final game on Saturday, we have the Tacoma Stars hosting the Ontario Fury. The Stars will be looking to build up a little bit of momentum after that tough road stretch that they had, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to do so. Ontario seems like they have hit a bit of a rough patch, and I think that Tacoma will take advantage of that, so I'm picking the Stars. Then on Sunday, the Florida Tropics host the Orlando Seawolves in a repeat of last week's match. I think the result will repeat as well. I'm picking the Tropics. Then once again, we have the St. Louis Ambush hosting Utica City FC. Whenever two teams play each other in the same weekend, I always like to pick the same team for each of the games. I feel as though it gives me a better chance of picking at least one of the games right, so I'm going to stick with that strategy this time around and pick the Ambush. Then the Harrisburg Heat host the Rochester Lancers. Poor Rochester, they have to play Harrisburg again, and I think they'll lose again. I'm picking the Heat. Then the San Diego Sockers host the Mesquite Outlaws. This is a tough travel weekend for the Outlaws, which is kind of a shame because I think they could play a very competitive game against the Sockers. But because of that tough travel weekend, I think that San Diego is going to win this one, and I think they're going to win it pretty easily. Then on Monday, we have the Milwaukee Wave hosting the Kansas City Comets. Milwaukee has dominated this series so far this season. I think that will continue on Monday. I'm picking the Wave. Then for our final game of Week 9, we have the Baltimore Blast hosting Celeste Sonora. This game is going to be pretty interesting to watch because Baltimore's home field advantage of playing on such a small field, well, it's kind of negated by Sonora because they play on a small field themselves. Plus you have Sonora, a team that is playing super well. Baltimore, maybe not quite as hot as Sonora, but they're playing pretty well themselves, so this game should be a lot of fun to watch. I am going to pick the Blast to win this game, mostly because Sonora has a tough travel weekend, but I'm still really looking forward to watching this game. I get to go to it in person, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And with that, I think we'll wrap this video up. But make sure you come back next week for my Week 9 breakdowns and my Week 10 predictions. In the meantime, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.